with that picture of power, the Triple Crown winner.
Secretariat has opened a 22-length lead.
Dan Whip, Alliar on the outside driving. A berm to Alliar, hits a bird. A berm's got a nose in front as he come onto the wire.
A quarter of a mile to go in the Belmont. Hazy Goer on the outside takes command.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris Fowler and welcome to Run for the Crown on ESPN Classic. The year is 1998 and trainer Bob Baffert is about to experience deja vu. It's a year when the Derby is thought to be wide open and Baffert's real hope is supposed to be a horse named Indian Charlie. But the Arizona trainer who had won the first two legs of the Triple Crown the year before with his beloved Silver Charm, this time brings an insurance policy to Churchill Downs. In 1998, Real Quiet, an unimposing specimen with a crooked front end and a narrow fish-like frame. On top of that, Baffert discovers that his backup horse, Real Quiet, had screws and wires put in both knees when the horse was 6 months old. The surprised Baffert said, "You mean I bought Forrest Gump?" This was the ever-quotable Baffert people had come to expect a year before, guiding Silver Charm's engaging run for the Triple Crown. He had made himself into a fitting ambassador for the sport. Fun in victory, admirable in defeat.
I used to tell people that if I ever win the Kentucky Derby, I'll probably quit training because I'll be bored with thoroughbred training. That's what I got bored with quarter horse training. And so it's the only race, when you win it, it's the only race that you want to win it even more. So it's very addicting, you know.
It's Cavalier on the inside and Grindstone on the outside. McCarran and Bailey. Here's the finish. Too tight to call.
After his near miss at the Derby with Cavalier in '96, Baffert got his shot in '97 with Silver Charm. With Gary Stevens on the mount, Silver Charm captured the Derby and went on to win the Preakness before suffering a heartbreaking loss at the Belmont by half a length. In '98, Baffert came back to his favorite place, Churchill Downs, with two horses, Indian Charlie with Gary Stevens on board, and Real Quiet, a horse bought for $17,000 at auction and ridden by Kent DeSormo.
Kent actually picked up the mount because I just felt he might fit a horse like that. At the time, Kent was helping me a lot at Del Mar, and he was at his time of his life that summer that he didn't have any business. When he came to me in August, he says, you know, the only thing missing from my resume is the Kentucky Derby, and I think, you know, if I'm going to get one, I got to get it with you. I said, well, I don't know, you know, if I have a Derby horse here, but, you know, for sure get on these other horses.
Secretariat looked the part of a champion. Real Quiet did. He's a skinny little horse that Bob Baffert saw something in, and didn't have the great pedigree. It was a rather inexpensive horse, but it's what they do out on the racetrack.
His stride was phenomenal. I had never been on him in a race. I had worked him, but I had never ridden him in a race where I'd really gone to the bottom of him, and he just reached out so far. He covered ground effortlessly. He had the fluid stride, and at that point he seemed to have the lung capacity, which was going to be needed for the grueling mile and a quarter.
Coming into the Derby, Real Quiet was only 2 for 12 in lifetime starts, but just a few weeks before at the Santa Anita Derby, he began to show real promise, finishing a close second to Indian Charlie.
I told Gary Stevens the night before, I said, you know, Indian Charlie, he's doing good, but he's just not doing as well as that Real Quiet. Real Quiet seems to be doing better of the two. So I told Gary, says, I think you got a good shot, but the only one that can run by in the stretch is the other horse, Real Quiet. But I'm not going to tell Kent because I don't want to get excited, you know. So I told Kent, you know, Kent, all I want you to know is you're sitting on a loaded gun.
Number 2 is a real contender, Real Quiet. Mike Pegram owns him. He's one of the Bob Baffert horses. Kent DeSormo, coming into his own right now, had a great meeting at Santa Anita, won the jockey title. Hallery Hunter is number 3, the Zito Patino horse. They bring Corey Nakatani, one of the top jocks in the West, east to ride him. He won the Bluegrass Stakes with Gary Stevens up. Number 7 is Indian Charlie, the other Baffert entry. He is ridden by Gary Stevens. This horse is green. He's raced 4 times, won all 4, including the Santa Anita Derby. Number 10 is Cape Town, the Lucas horse, the Lucas Bailey connection. It doesn't get any better than that. Won the Florida Derby when Lil's Lad was disqualified.
And they're up. He's moving fast. And down the stretch they come. Photo finish. And And they're off in the Kentucky Derby. And Old Trieste stumbled at the start, but recovers quickly. Giolito on the inside takes the early lead, and Favorite Trick is right there, and Rock and Roll up with the early leaders. Old Trieste in the middle of the racetrack has recovered and is right up with the early leaders, passing us for the first time. It's Old Trieste on the outside, and at the rail it's Rock and Roll in the long shot. Rock and Roll with Francisco Torres has it by a head. Old Trieste challenges. Giolito is racing in third. Indian Charlie is fourth. Pat Day with Favorite Trick hugs the rail in fifth, saving some ground around that turn. Real Quiet is next. Then comes Robin Wood. Then on the outside it's Cape Town, Hanneman Highway. On the outside, that's Artax with the red and black colors. 3 lengths farther back, Basic Trainee. And then that final group of horses, Parade Ground, Hallery Hunter. Along the inside, National Lore. And at the back of the pack, it's Victory Gallop, who's 15th and last. They race down the backstretch after a half mile in 45.75. And now Old Trieste has drawn clear by 3 lengths. Rock and Roll is second. Giolito is moving up, and Indian Charlie with Gary Stevens, a bold move on the outside there. There goes Indian Charlie with the red cap, moving quickly into second position. They're on the turn. It's Old Trieste in front, and here comes Real Quiet, fastest of all with Kent DeSormo. Indian Charlie is between horses. Cape Town behind a wall of horses, and Favorite Trick at the rail is racing fifth. They're at the top of the lane in the Derby, and Real Quiet on the outside gets the lead. Indian Charlie is second, and Cape Town is racing third, but gaining. Victory Gallop from far back is fourth, and moving up, Hallery Hunter is next. Down the stretch they come. Real Quiet leads it. Victory Gallop on the outside with a last desperate move. In the final strides, Real Quiet, Kent DeSormo. Yes, Real Quiet wins it. Bob Baffert, 2 in a row. On the outside, it was Victory Gallop who came from absolutely last to finish second. Bob Baffert gets his second victory. Kent DeSormo gets his first. Elliott Walden, a big race for him, almost there with Victory Gallop. What a finish as Real Quiet, who's been racing in the shadow of Indian Charlie, comes out on his own in the sunshine at Churchill Downs and wins the Run for the Roses.
I was tear-jerked for a little bit because at that point it hit me that I had just won the Kentucky Derby. This cloud is high, baby. Woo! Now was the time to seize the moment.
Who would have thought this is his only chance when you're buying a cheaper horse like this, by luck, that we're going to win this Derby. When he hit the wire, it was very emotional. I'm glad I wasn't next to Mike Pegram. I would have been crying like a baby.
When we return, owner Mike Pegram, Baffert, DeSormo, and Real Quiet head to the Preakness and try to prove their Derby win wasn't a fluke. We now return to Run for the Crown 1998. What made Real Quiet's victory even more noteworthy was his incredibly modest pedigree. No other horse since 1929, with the exception of Strike the Gold in 1991, had won the Derby with a dosage index above 4.00, the classic guideline figure. The dosage index is a method of quantifying a horse's pedigree to predict his ability as a performer. While Secretariat carried a 3.00 dosage index, Real Quiet carried a 5.29, which furthered speculation that his Derby win was a fluke. At the Preakness, where the temperature soared into the 90s, a few of the key contenders dropped out. Derby favorite Indian Charlie and 4th place finisher Hallery Hunter. 2nd place finisher Victory Gallop almost skipped the Preakness too.
We were concerned about the long-term aspect of Victory Gallop coming back in such a short time after running such a hard race in the Kentucky Derby. But all physical signs that I'm able to see as a trainer are that he's healthy, he's 100%, and so we decided to go ahead and run.
Walden gave the mount to Gary Stevens, and Victory Gallop became the favorite. Meanwhile, Bob Baffert was seeking to become the first trainer to win double back-to-back derbies and Preaknesses. Kent DeSormo was coming home to the track that launched his career.
My gleaming sword shall never rust, Maryland, my Maryland. And they're up. He's moving fast, and down the stretch they come. Photo finish. And they're off in the Preakness. And Hotwells stumbled at the start, but recovers quickly. On the outside, Silver's Prospect to the front. Vaquero with the white blinkers is right there and now emerges with a short lead. Basic Trainee is next at the rail. It's Black Cash, and now Black Cash engages Vaquero, but Vaquero on the outside with a short lead at the first turn. Black Cash stalking the leader now. Basic Trainee on the outside, and the blue cap is third. Cape Town in good position in fourth. Followed on the outside by Silver's Prospect, now fifth. Classic Cat is sixth. Between horses, Victory Gallop is seventh, a lot closer today, but right alongside is the Derby winner, Real Quiet. Then a gap of 4 lengths, Hotwells and Spartan Kent. 23 2/5 seconds for the first quarter. Down the backstretch, it's Vaquero leading the pack by 3/4 of a length. He reached the half in 46 1. Pat Day has him on the front end by 1. Basic Trainee on the outside is second. Middle of the racetrack, there goes Victory Gallop with the green cap, and there goes Cape Town. Now 4 of them battle up front. Around the far turn, Vaquero still has the lead. Cape Town between horses. Along the inside, the long shot Basic Trainee, and on the outside, there goes Real Quiet. Real Quiet, boldly moving up 4 wide. Victory Gallop from between horses. Vaquero at the rail is still there as they turn for home in the Preakness. Real Quiet on the outside to the front. Victory Gallop on the inside to Sormo and Stevens. Down the stretch they come. On the outside, it's Real Quiet taking command and drawing clear, with Victory Gallop second and a late charge from Classic Cat. But here we come to the finish, and it's going to be Real Quiet, the Derby winner, gets the Preakness, and it's Victory Gallop second, followed by Classic Cat third. The same finish as the Derby. Deja vu.
He ran unbelievable. He actually ran better in the Preakness than he did in the Derby.
That race was awesome. He dug all the way to the wire. His lifetime effort was that day. Unbelievable. He was phenomenal.
When we return, Real Quiet will seek a place in the annals of thoroughbred racing history at the Belmont Stakes. We now return to Run for the Crown 1998.
Welcome back to Run for the Crown 1998. With a resounding victory at the Preakness, Real Quiet's trainer Bob Baffert rewrote history, becoming the first trainer to win both the Derby and the Preakness in consecutive years. But coming into the 98 Belmont, he's also back in the same place he was the year before, on the edge of immortality, but with no guarantees. Though Real Quiet is finally the favorite at 3-5, he still has his critics. The colt's greatness will be determined at the grueling Belmont Stakes, where only 11 horses before him had seized the Triple Crown. What's more, 1998 marks 3 Triple Crown anniversaries: the golden anniversary of Citation, the silver of Secretariat, and 20 years since Affirmed outdueled Alydar. A rivalry has also developed in 98 between Real Quiet and Victory Gallop, ridden by Gary Stevens. Interestingly, Stevens is the same jockey who in 1997 rode Baffert's Silver Charm to a heartbreaking second behind Touch Gold. Stevens, like Baffert, is seeking to avenge that loss. Only one of them can win.
I was probably as pumped up and excited about the Belmont Stakes as I have been for any race in my career. I felt like we could beat Real Quiet, and I was very confident.
So the stage is set. Just an hour before the start of the race, Kent DeSormo spoke to Leslie Visser about his chances.
Ken, so far, congratulations, but big day today. You've said that you are 98% sure of victory today. That's kind of close to Joe Namath.
Well, Leslie, there's always room for error. This still is horse racing. You know, I'm about as close to the horse's mouth as you can get, and one thing's for sure, he can't tell us if he has a headache today.
And they're off in the Belmont Stakes, and Real Quiet gets away cleanly. That's Cholito, as expected, going for the lead on the outside. It's Grand Slam. Then comes Raffy's Majesty, who's closer than usual. Limit Out is taking a position toward the inside. Real Quiet is fifth at this point, and Yarrow Bray is going to get caught wide at the first turn as they round the clubhouse turn. Cholito leads the field by a length and 3/4, and Real Quiet is now in fourth position, about 4 lengths from the lead. As they race to the backstretch, it's Cholito on an uncontested lead. with Raffy's Majesty dropping back and Grand Slam taking the second spot. Grand Slam second. Raffy's Majesty third. Yarrow Bray with the blue and red colors on the outside moving up. Raffy's Majesty is now dropping back into fifth position, and Real Quiet, the Derby and Preakness winner, is sixth, about 4 lengths from the lead. Then comes Thomas Joe with the blue blinkers. Basic Trainee is third last. Victory Gallop. And at the back of the pack, it's Classic Cat. Down the backstretch, and Cholito with Robbie Davis has the lead by a little more than a length. Limit Out on the inside. Grand Slam with Jerry Bailey inching up. Then Yarrow Bray is between horses, and Real Quiet is gaining ground on the outside. He's 3 off the rail. He's third now and going up as they go to the far turn. It's Cholito in front, Grand Slam second, and Real Quiet trying for the Triple Crown on the outside third. Yarrow Bray is fourth at this point. Limit Out is dropping back. Around the turn, Cholito still has the lead. Now here comes Grand Slam to challenge, and Real Quiet on the outside, 3 of them across the track. Coming to the top of the stretch. On the inside, Cholito trying to hang on. Real Quiet with a burst of speed takes the lead by a head. Grand Slam is right there between horses. Thomas Joe is flying from the back of the pack. He's fourth now with McCarran as they straighten away in the lane of the Belmont. Real Quiet takes command. A roar from the crowd as he bounces away by 3.5 lengths. Thomas Joe is closing. Victory Gallop is now second. Down the stretch they come. Real Quiet in front. Here comes Victory Gallop with Gary Stevens. It's Real Quiet to Sormo, but on the outside, Victory Gallop. Too tight to call. On the inside, was it Real Quiet? Did he win the Triple Crown? On the outside, Victory Gallop. Neither jockey indicating that they think they won it. That's a photo finish.
Unbelievable that it should end in this manner when it looked at the top of the stretch as if it was a certain Triple Crown victory for Real Quiet, and the emotions, the agony in some cases, that the connections, that the friends, that the relatives, that the people close to this horse and DeSormo and Baffert and Pegram are going through right now. But it's been a classic 3 races for these 2 horses. Once again, the look on Mike Pegram's face, he doesn't know what to think. Neither jockey, as Dave indicated, knows whether he has won the race or not. It was that close.
When we return, the controversial results of one of the closest races in Belmont history. We now return to Run for the Crown 1998.
Down the stretch they come. Real Quiet in front. Here comes Victory Gallop with Gary Stevens. It's Real Quiet to Sormo, but on the outside, Victory Gallop. Too tight to call.
We'll slow it down. We'll look at it again. Again, you've got a steward's inquiry as well, but the photo has shown that the nose in front belongs to number 11, and that would be Victory Gallop with a tremendous drive in the stretch.
The Belmont Stakes of 1998 was the worst beat in the history of bad beats. He misses by this much. A place in history, immortality. And even worse for Bob Baffert, who 50 yards from the finish line the year before, he's going to win the Triple Crown with Silver Charm. Everybody's looking at that board to see what happens. They're looking at the board, and the tote board is illuminated. Inquiry. Oh, no. So now history is on hold. Then the official sign goes up. About an hour after the race was made official, it was unprecedented. The stewards put out a press release saying, in fact, that with that bumping there was in the stretch, that they would have disqualified Real Quiet from winning the Triple Crown if the photo showed that he was up first. Would they? I don't know. But I was the guy that had to say, ladies and gentlemen, Real Quiet has been disqualified from the Belmont Stakes and he is not the Triple Crown winner. I would have been the person that had to say that. I don't know if they would have disqualified that horse, but I know if I had to make that announcement, I had a plan. I was going to make a tape recording of it, give it to the sound man and say, Wait 5 minutes and play this. And I would have been out of the building and on my way home safely. Thank you.
I wouldn't want to have been in that scene anywhere, because I think racing would have maybe had a black mark for that, because everybody knew and wanted a Triple Crown. It was long overdue.
That's the only part of the race that I actually, I talked to Kent later on, and I said, you know, everybody thinks you moved too early. I don't think you moved early. You rode the horse great. The only thing you did is when you jerked him out in front of that horse, intentionally, I thought that was, I told him every time when I put him on the horse, whatever you do not get your number taken down. Be careful out there. And if we would have won and they would have disqualified us, that would have been harder. That would have been a tough loss, you know. And so it would have been probably harder on Kent than it would have been on me, you know.
The Belmont was devastating because I was wrong, and I don't think that I was wrong in that he can't get a mile and a half. It was perceived that way. All I know is that I did exactly what I did in the other races, and I tried and gave my life to win that race.
My feeling is that Gary Stevens was the hero of that Belmont Stakes, and that he was responsible for the victory of Victory Gallop and the denying of the Triple Crown for Real Quiet.
I can honestly say that it was probably the best race I'd ever ridden in my career. It was as close to being a perfect ride as I can ever imagine. You know, I never really thought about playing the role of the spoiler until after it was all said and done, and I was galloping out after the finish line, and I wasn't sure if I'd won or not. It was a very close finish. But a lot of things started flashing back in my mind about 1997 when I was beaten, because I knew what Kent Desormeaux was feeling. I knew what everybody was feeling. I couldn't imagine Bob Baffert going through that feeling 2 years in a row. I mean, that's something I never want to go through again.
It was ironic that it was Gary Stevens riding Victory Gallop who would derail Bob Baffert's second consecutive Triple Crown bid. Stevens, who the year before rode the marvelous Silver Charm for Baffert, had known what it was like to lose the Triple Crown on the stretch at the Belmont. At the '98 Derby, Stevens had been the one to yell, "Go get him," as Kent Desormeaux blew by him on Baffert's Real Quiet. And before the start of the Belmont, Stevens had even offered advice to Desormeaux in the paddocks. But horse racing is a business where friends are often rivals. And at the Belmont Stakes, Gary Stevens did what he had to do and outdueled Kent Desormeaux. "I saw the look on Kent's face," said Stevens, "and I know the feeling. It's heartbreaking." Heartbreaking, too, for Bob Baffert, who for 2 straight years had been denied the ultimate prize in the final strides of the final race in the run for the crown.